What's up, everybody? It's Fireplace Friday. I'm Jeremy, your host with Flues Brothers Chimney Service here in Kansas City. I'm going to sit down so I'm not making you sick here. I don't know. I got some light behind me. There we go. We'll go over here a bit. All right, so it's been a couple weeks, but we've had a few holidays, and I think both holidays fell on a Friday, and I wanted to enjoy some time off. This time of year, still extremely busy, but things change up a bit in the chimney industry. We're still pretty booked out, but it's starting to taper back a little bit because what happens from basically October till December or January 1st is everybody, it's starting to cool off. So that's one thing that happens. But as we get closer to the holidays, people are trying to get so many things done. That's why we get so backed up. And then what happens after the holidays is we get a lot of cancellations. People maybe spent too much money on Christmas or whatever. We've gotten a lot of cancellations due to COVID. People who opted to take a chance and get with family or travel or what have you. And honestly, a lot of people, it seems like when the pandemic first started, I didn't know anybody who had gotten COVID. I didn't know anybody who had gotten sick or anything. And now it seems like it's almost weekly where I'm either hearing about one of my kids' friends getting it or one of my friends getting it. God bless, it almost killed me. A couple weeks ago, I found out that I have a friend and his wife got it and passed away from it. And that's horrible. That's horrible. So it's starting to get closer and closer to my smaller circle. So I was supposed to go to a business symposium because I really like education. We do a lot of education here, and I've been doing this for 21 years, and I still get education, and I really wanted to go to this. Luckily, they're doing a virtual, which isn't the greatest. Everybody's kind of tired of virtual stuff. I am too. But I'm going to give it a try because I don't want to miss it. I do pray that everybody out there that is going to that out in Nashville gets a lot out of it and no one gets sick, but I can't take the risk. So I'm going to stay here. I want to set a good example for my children, set a good example for the employees here at Flues Brothers, and take one for the team and not travel. So with that being said, hopefully we're going to look back on this one day. I know I will. And go, oh my gosh, that time, I'm so happy we got through that. But hopefully the vaccinations and everything are going well, and hopefully they work well, and everybody gets healthy, and we can get back to being able to travel and seeing friends and family and hugs. I miss hugs. From friends and everything, shaking hands. I had a lady come in here this morning to look at a fireplace, and we're doing appointment only, and I can't shake hands. I mean, it's, and if someone puts their hand out and wants to shake my hand, I do. Of course, I carry a ton of, I can't even think right now. Purell, things like that, sanitizer, and sanitize my hands. But anyway, I'm just rambling a little bit. Let's talk a fireplace, all right? So one thing that happens after the first of the year is many of our phone calls that come in Kansas, we get a lot of bad weather. It gets a lot colder. Cold air drops, and you get cold air calls. I'm having problems with my fireplace calls. A lot of snow and ice, so we're getting water entry calls, things like that. But one thing that I've seen a lot of this year, now that people are spending a lot more time at home, is, hey, I've never used this fireplace, and I want to use this fireplace. And a lot of them are gas units, and a lot of them are what they call vent-free units. So there's two types of built-in or even log-style fireplaces. There's vented, and the second one is vent-free. What does vent-free mean? Well, it's exactly what... I'm going to talk about vent-frees, by the way. Vent free is basically it's a fireplace that doesn't require a vent. Now, gas fireplaces are still real fireplaces, still real heat. They still have real fumes, everything else. With a vent free, the vent free set, there's a lot of fine tuning and it burns very efficiently. So it's in like the 90% efficiency range. And so when you burn it, you're going to get a very blue flame, kind of like when the power used to go out if you lived out in the middle of nowhere on a farm, what have you. One of the things we do is, hey, the gas still works. We turn the burners on our stovetop. And if you notice, they're very blue. Well, that's because essentially that's kind of a vent-free appliance. Also, the yellow tips on a fireplace are the dirty part of a flame, which is soot. So if you have any impingement of those flames on anything, it creates black soot. And you don't want black soot out in the room because typically soot and everything, byproducts and everything, get vented up the chimney. So with vent freeze, if you're burning it with the damper closed, or if you don't have a damper assembly because it's a literal vent-free unit, you run a couple of risks. The biggest one being soot in the house, black soot in your house. So you want to keep it serviced, you want to keep it clean. You want to make sure the logs are affixed in place like they should be. You want to make sure they're burning correctly. You want to make sure you don't purchase a cheap set, like these sets that you can get at big box stores or whatever, because they aren't as quality and they aren't going to last as long. So the number one complaint, and the guys are out on one right now, they go, look, this fireplace, every time we use it, it stinks. We can't use it. It seems like it almost eats all the air up. The house gets really moist and moisture, and we just hate this thing. Well, basically, it's doing exactly what a vent-free does. It's gonna, when you burn, one of the byproducts is moisture, so you're gonna get a lot of moisture in the home. Most vent-free appliances aren't made to burn all day long. They're made to burn in short spats in a well-ventilated area. That's why you don't want to put them in a bedroom. That's why they're not allowed in a bedroom, because typically a bedroom is not a well-ventilated area. It's a smaller area. You're probably going to shut it. You're going to be sleeping. You could have a buildup of those gases because they all dispense carbon monoxide, but it's dispensed within a certain amount of square footage. So you are going to get some carbon monoxide from vent freeze, but it's made to disperse. That's why I always tell people, don't do your carbon monoxide test right at the log set. Do it out in front, because you've got to go off of kind of general space. But obviously a bedroom is a lot smaller space. You also don't want to run a lot of like ceiling fans or blowers or something with it, because that'll cause the flame to push around, and if that yellow part of the flame hits a cold spot or the logs or what have you that are in there to make it look pretty, it's going to create soot, and then you're going to have soot all over your house, and that is a mess. Kind of like candle soot, the scented candles. The number one complaint is smell. Why do they smell? Well, anytime you have something in your house that puts off any type of aromatic hydrocarbon, which like Glade plug-ins, like scented candles, like pet dander, like human dander, things of that. New carpet smells. You move into a house, it smells, new paint, new carpet, any of that stuff that's in the air is odors that when you burn that appliance, it gets drawn through that, it burns, and then it comes back out. It's going to come back out in odors. It's going to come back out in dirty soot, things like that. These appliances are attractive because typically if you have a lot of problems in a chimney or what have you, sometimes, people argue, well, I can put these in lieu of doing thousands of dollars worth of repairs. Somewhat accurate accusation, somewhat wrong accusation, but we weren't going to get into that today. We're just going to stick with, hey, what is going on with this thing when I go to use it? Why is it smelling? Well, again, it's going to reburn all of that stuff, and it's going to put it out as odors. and you're going to smell it because it's not venting to the outside. So if you're any way like I am, sensitive to smells or what have you, unless you want to be cracking a window, opening a door, big room, what have you, you're going to hate these things. Do they have a place? Yes, they do. They do have their place within Fireplaces. A good, more expensive set that is well made won't give you a lot of the problems and the excessive odors, but the odors, most of them come from the environment around this set of logs. And if it's going into a masonry fireplace, you can crack the damper a little bit and help bleed some of that off. So they do have their places in fireplaces and society, etc. But for the most part, people are attracted to what they're selling you on them. And what they sell you on is, one, cost efficiency, two, you still got a fire, and three, a heat source. So I think I went over that right. Let me think here. And a heat source, yes, and all the heat that comes out. So they don't solve any problems, but they've got a few attractive things, and they do have a certain place within certain fireplaces and chimneys and things that might be things, options. Like if you have a basement area that's really big and it's got some ventilation going on to it, but you can't get a vent up and out, that'd be a great place for it. But you have to inform the customer, or we have to inform the customer and you guys what the positives are and what the negatives are. And honestly, I found in 21 years that there's more negatives than positives with these appliances. So I like to make sure people are very aware and their expectations are set, that these are the real world things that happen with vent-free appliances. Now let me show you these appliances. I'm going to show you a couple things on the computer here. Can look just like a regular fireplace. This is one in a basement, and this is one that we had serviced, and they still require service, yearly service, to clean them up and everything. This is a nicer set. It's a Majestic, and there's always a pilot going at all times. Typically, these won't have a option of shutting it off and turning the pilot on like an automatic ignition, because they have to have that little pilot assembly, because they have this little safety device called an ODS, an oxygen depletion sensor. So if all the oxygen gets burned up out of the room and what have you, it'll shut it off so it doesn't continue to burn or what have you. Now, I'm going to show you what these things look like burning, because a vented appliance is always going to be a lot more attractive than a vent-free. But here's one of the sets that we actually sell, and you can see it's a very basic look. Very basic look. It's called the Sassafras, but you can see it's definitely not like a vented set that has a lot of glowing embers and things down here. This has a little bit. And then you can see, oh, look how nice and yellow those flames are. Let me tell you, that's a video put out by the manufacturer. And just like everything, just like magazine covers, my gosh, that lady in that bikini is beautiful and flawless. Or, boy, look at the abs on that guy. That's all doctored. It's all doctored. So the flames will actually be a lot more blue, because a blue flame is an efficient flame. It doesn't have a lot of the carbon and soot and things. So don't be fooled by a lot of that stuff. We want to make sure everybody is totally understanding, because at the end of the day, we need happy people. We want you happy with your decision and happy with your purchase, not disappointed. So, trying to think if there's anything else. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. It looks like I got some good watchers. Hopefully somebody got something from this, but we've just had a lot of phone calls on vent-free appliances lately, and there's always a lot of misnomers, misunderstandings with it. A lot of places, here's another place where we see a lot of vent-free being put in is someone's buying a home, and the fireplace has a lot of problems, and somebody within that transaction, real estate agent, home inspector, fireplace shop, somebody, they don't want to spend the money to get the fireplace fixed properly, and they think these are going to solve all the issues. Or we have people that are remodeling and they want to tear a chimney down and just block it off, and they go, I'll just put vent-free gas logs in it. I haven't found where a manufacturer is okay with that. In fact, most of them say it still has to have an intact chimney, it has to have this, it has to have that. There are vent-free appliances and vent-free units that are pre-made boxes that are under certain tested circumstances that would be okay. But that's a whole different beast than leaving this thing in place, a fireplace, and then taking the chimney down. So there's a lot of misnomers, and all of this kind of is put together by people up here because it seems reasonable, but it's not a reality and a safe reality within the chimney world or even within the manufacturer of these things. So many people don't read the instructions, or they don't do the research properly. They go off of what they feel here and what they think they know here, rather than, okay, let's make sure this is a safe path and for our conundrum or our remodel or what have you. And so, again, make sure that you're playing with fire in a house. So you want to make sure that you're putting the correct appliance, not only for the situation, but also what you want at the end of the day. I find more cobwebs on vent-free systems, vent-free logs, etc., than people using them constantly. And I ask people, why don't you use them? Well, I hate them. Okay, why do you hate them? Because they smell. Number one reason people hate them, they smell. I go, well, you know why they smell? No, why? Well, it's burning and putting everything back into the room. Of course it's going to smell. So, anywho, there we go. A little tidbit on vent-free fireplaces. We don't hate them, but we don't love them. So we're kind of in the middle. All right. So I think it's supposed to warm up next week. Good stuff. I hear the phone ringing off the hook again. We're still rocking right along. Ready to get rolling. And if you have any questions or anything, give us a call at the office, 913-236-7141. If not, we'll see you the next time we come out, or we'll see you next week on Fireplace Fridays. I'm Jeremy, your host here, Flues Brothers Chimney Service. Oh, one more thing. Quick and exciting news. Brandy sent me an email the other day, and she kind of mentioned it today. I've been extremely busy, and I haven't had a chance to make through everything. But she said we're going to be on some sort of a radio show. I guess we got contacted by a radio show, and we're going to be on it, and it'll be awesome. So we'll let you know more about that, and tune in. I'm sure it'll be on our Facebook page, etc., etc. So have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe. We'll see you next week.